Fire, a hazard which, if uncontrolled, is notorious for its impact on any business. Every management must consider the frequency with which the hazard occurs, the severity of its consequences, the cost of prevention, and the benefits which may be derived from a risk control program. John Dickinson is an old established British paper firm. At their mills at Apsley, just north of London, Dickinsons employ 4,500 people. They pursue a policy of stringent control of those risk areas involving the highest severity, that is, the highest danger. But, and this is far less common, they have a thorough program for dealing with any risk that they've been able to foresee. Dickinsons are makers of stationery and many other types of paper goods. Paper, of course, is combustible, but the inks and solvents used in printing and manufacture are also often highly flammable. The company has taken the essential step of identifying that it's here that the high hazard lies, and has taken specific precautions, such as the CO2 installation in the ink and solvent store. And in certain areas, they use flame-proof lights and motors, and even flame-proof telephones. Being a large enough company to have its own fire brigade, it set up through these men the control system of self-inspection that is the cornerstone of its risk control program. The fire brigade has 2 drill evenings a week. But what's more important, and what can be done by any company, whether it has a full-time fire brigade or not, is that its work is backed up by on-site training of machine operators in fire prevention and instruction to foremen on what to do in case of fire and how to get people clear of the building. At Dickinson's, there is always a fire prevention team on duty, day and night.
JD Base from JD3, receiving over.
JD3, JD Base, over.
Stan, could you make a note on the log, please, that there's an obstruction in block 69D on the main passageway, over.
Received and understood, over and out.
Thank you, Stan. JD3 listening up.
They patrol the premises, check the fire equipment, even the plant and machinery, and they control the movement of people. With a full-time fire prevention force, the management is able to carry out its stated policy of never letting even the smallest lapse pass unnoticed. Anything seen lying about, like dirty rags or obstructions in passageways, anything is written down in a daily report. And that report goes directly to a senior manager of the company. A manager who's directly responsible for safety and fire prevention. He is Mr. J.J. Johnson. Nothing and no one can stop that report getting to his desk the next morning.
Reg, I've got another report here on the fireman's log sheet about the troubles we had previously in block 40. Oily waste and rags hanging out from the dustbin, collection of cans with spirits in. I wish you'd get behind it, please, and get something done. Yeah.
A request from Mr. Johnson to remedy a fault is tantamount to an order from the board of directors. This emphasis on the importance of the fire patrol is part of the management's policy of trying to avoid even the slightest risk of fire.
Well, of course, our own brigade are very much concerned with fire prevention. This is their primary function. Matters of good housekeeping, constant surveillance of the equipment, maintenance of the pumps and machinery and so on, and keeping this in good order. But of course, if we ever get a really serious fire and we've got to call in the outside brigade, in which case our own people would act very much as liaison and guides and assistants to them. And for that purpose, we hold regular joint exercises with them and keep in very close contact.
Thanks to these men, who are a key part of the fire prevention program of the company, Dickinsons never have had a serious fire, although there have been a number of small ones that might have developed dangerously if they had not acted promptly. Participation in events like this annual competition for company fire brigades, organized by the British Fire Services Association, keeps up morale and standards in fire prevention, both in the fire brigade and through it amongst the employees at Apsley. Mr. A.F. Gomm is the director of the company who takes a special interest in fire prevention.
As paper makers and stationery manufacturers, we have always realized that our industry is above average as a fire risk. And way back in about 1883, we started our first fire brigade. Now we have fire brigades in all our major establishments. The function of these brigades is partly practical, partly psychological. In fact, I'm not sure which is the more important. On the practical side, the firemen patrol the factories, upkeeping the extinguishers and other equipment. They look out for fire hazards, they check means of escape, and as part of their job, they also train their colleagues, who are not firemen, in the use of the simpler firefighting equipment. On the psychological side, we regard the visible uniformed presence as of great importance. People are accustomed to seeing uniformed firemen patrolling our factories, and they are therefore conditioned to be constantly aware of the fire risk around them. We are great supporters of competitions of this type for the influence they have on the efficiency and morale of our firemen. At this annual camp, in addition to the competitions, the firemen attend technical lectures. And if at the end of the day they take home a few trophies, this again is a great boost to their morale.
The fact that their authority is supported by the management is even more important, in the opinion of Dickinson's chief fire officer, Ralph Tompkins.
Fire prevention and fire protection in industry are very much dependent on the full cooperation of the management. Legislation and equipment alone are useless unless there is full coordination between the management, the employees, and the uniformed personnel, who without the assistance of and the backing of the management could not possibly do their job.
This is Dickinson's method of protecting their premises. But whatever method is chosen, this full and evident support from management is a vital part of a risk control policy. A policy which should be written down, clear to see and understand. A policy which, no matter how modest or how ambitious, should allocate responsibility, identify the hazards, evaluate the risk, institute a system of inspecting both the hazards and the precautionary measures, and ensure that someone is trained in fire prevention. If management's responsibility is to provide a plan for reducing the risk of fire, it's equally essential that management formulates a program of action should a fire occur.
Okay, Stan, I'm on my way.